Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
and the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
Cabinet members will no longer attend the hearing led by Senator Amy Marcos regarding the arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte.
The Armed Forces tells its troops in northern Luzon to prepare for China's possible invasion of Taiwan.
The Department of Foreign Affairs is working to identify recruiters involved in luring Filipinos into scam farms in Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia.
And a show-cause order has been issued to MMDA official Gabriel Go for berating a police officer during a clearing operation.
First in the news, Senator Amy Marcos hopes that cabinet members will still attend the hearing into former President Duterte's arrest. Here's the report.
Cabinet members will not be attending the next Senate hearing on the arrest of former President Duterte. This was indicated in the letter sent by Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin to Senator Amy Marcos. Amy, who chairs the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations, launched the probe last March 20. According to Bersamin, they already answered all the questions and provided enough information. In response, Senator Amy said she was surprised and called on the cabinet members to re-evaluate their decision.
Nakakalungkot naman kasi alam niyo maraming tanong pa rin, bitin pa rin kasi preliminary report lang naman ang kinaya ko. Marami pa rin katanungan ng taong bayan. Ang dami nga nagte-text, nagtatanong. Tapos, marami rin bagong impormasyon na sana maging pagkakataon para yung mga magulong sagot, yung hindi magkatugma-tugma ng mga datos, at saka yung mga katanungan ng taong bayan, sana pagkakataon yun para maisagot ng ating gobyerno.
Still, Senator Amy said she will not cancel the next Senate hearing scheduled for April 3.
Sabi ko sa kanila, may sulat ako sa kanila, baka naman ma-reconsider nila kasi sayang naman ang pagkakataon, maririnig ng tao kung ano talaga nangyari, kung nagkamali ako, tatanggapin ko naman at mas maganda yung nagkakaliwanagan kasi pag hindi sumisipot, ang duda ng tao may tinatago. Umaasa pa rin ako dun sa sinabi ni Presidente na hindi daw pagbabawal, pero ang liwaliwanag ng sulat, bawal. Hindi sila a-attend.
The lawmaker earlier said that the arrest of Duterte by the Interpol and ICC violated the rights of the former president. For News 5, Camille Samonte, we are One News.
Well, aside from the cabinet officials under this admin, people are also expecting na makapag-invite si Senator Amy Marcos sa kanyang possible second hearing ng mga legal luminaries, di ba? Para daw they will be neutral na makapag-explain sila nung talagang mga tamang proseso sa batas.
Kasi yung legal luminary na yung isang yung attorney ni ni Senator Grace Poe na nag-attend, may known alliances sa other side supposedly, hindi galing sa akin yan. Pero kasi sinabi ni Senator Amy Marcos that the second hearing will focus on finding who is liable already.
Yeah.
The first was to find out yung story and legality, and malinaw na yung second is hanapan niya kung sino ba may kasalanan. So with that pronouncement, nakikita ng administration, mas lalo na si Executive Secretary, ba't mo papuntahin pa yung mga cabinet officials? They answered everything possible. So why will you put them there to find fault kung sino may kasalanan sa kanila?
Ulit, oo. Saka naging debate, I remember nung nagkaroon ng hearing, yung first hearing, di ba? Nagkaroon nga sila ng debate tungkol dun sa diffusion. Na parang lumabas doon sa hearing ni Senator Amy Marcos na hindi daw pala red notice yung na warrant, kundi diffusion. Pero nilinaw yan, nung iba doon, sinasabi nga nila na ito yung diffusion na to, ang tawag dito yung red diffusion.
Yes, it's still red. It's still red. Kasi may blue. May blue means ano lang, parang notice lang, hindi siya wanted, pero on alert kayo. Ang red diffusion notice naman is wanted. Ang difference kasi ng red diffusion from Interpol red notice is yung Interpol red notice, ipapaskil yan sa website. Meaning, anybody can take a look at it, diba? Wanted. Ang red diffusion, hindi ipapaskil sa website yan, pero diretso sa member states ng Interpol yan. In other words, he is still a wanted person. Oo.
Kaya yun, ewan natin kung sino pa yung ibang mga may imbitahan dito sa second hearing niya kasi nga
Kung walang pupunta from the
nakapaglabas na siya ng preliminary investigation stating na may pagkakamali na bakit parang pinlano daw talaga yung pagkakaaresto dito kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte at ngayon nga nakadetain na sa ICC detention
Oh,
center.
I mean, just because you plan something, I guess doesn't mean naman na talagang mali ang isang procedure. But
Well, titingnan natin kasi sabi nga nila within malapit na daw lumabas yung within this week or early next week yung desisyon ng Supreme Court doon sa petisyon na final ng magkakapatid na Duterte yung habeas corpus. So most probably sabi ng ibang mga legal experts baka nga daw syempre paano ano yung gagawin ng Supreme Court ngayon na nandoon na si Pangulong Duterte sa ICC.
parang based on kasi kay Attorney Kaufman's pronouncements, let's just respect the process of the International Court. In other words, parang huwag niyo naguluhin yung ginagawa ko, stopping short of saying that. So whatever the Supreme Court says, I guess it'll have zero to little impact on what's happening in International Criminal Court. Kasi may sariling ginagawa si Kaufman about interim release and jurisdiction.
Yes.
Diba? And he will not do that if he will respect the decision of the Supreme Court. So that means parang he disregards that muna kasi nandito na yan He understands that
Kaya nga kina-question din yung bakit nga daw nagpapahiring si Senator Amy Marcos.
Oo nga, in aid of legislation
Sinasabi
daw.
ni Senator Panelo in aid of election.
Oo.
Kasi nga medyo mababa yung kanyang
Magkaalyado yan,
numero
supposedly,
sa survey. So parang ang sinasabi allegedly she's banking on the Duterte supporter para medyo tumaas yung kanyang On the other hand naman sinasabi ng iba just to be fair talagang gusto niya kasi talagang magkabati at that time. So talagang parang she's trying to correct the wrong that was
Well,
that happened. Pero yun yung sinasabi ng iba.
Yung stance niya kasi a lot of people are saying is what's causing her numbers to be erratic. It's because wala siyang, instead of tapping solidly into one side, namamangka ka sa dalawa, so both sides are losing trust sa'yo. So nalalagas yung number mo. Di ba? Kunyari, if you stick to the Marcos side, solid sa'yo ang northern base. If you stick to the Duterte side, you have the southern base. Namamangka ka. So, di ba sabi nga nila, nag-erode yung trust ng both sides
But on her part naman, sinasabi niya, para daw sa susunod, kasi may mga iba pang mga arestuhin na mga certain personalities dito na supposedly involved dito sa
si Bato.
drug war.
Senator Bato.
Oo, at saka sino pa, Oscar Albayalde, di ba? And other personalities pa. Para daw sa susunod, kung merong mga arrest pa na mangyayari, proper procedure daw yung magagawa.
Paano magagawa proper procedure? That's not enough time for her to craft a
Ewan
law.
ko sa kanya, yun yung sinasabi
Diba?
niya.
She has to craft a law para ma-define talaga yung status natin. Babalik ba tayo sa ICC or not, yung Rome Statute or what? Pero let's see what happens sa second hearing kung walang bisita.
Tignan natin. But this time, family members of President Rodrigo Duterte visited him at the ICC Detention Center in The Hague, Netherlands. This marks the first time Vice President Sara Duterte has been seen visiting since her father's birthday last week, soon after Duterte's common-law wife, Hanilet Avancenia, arrived. She expressed her gratitude to the supporters outside the detention center and continues to request prayers for the swift resolution of the former president's case so he can be returned to the Philippines. Duterte's daughter Kitty also entered the detention center shortly afterward. Kasi isa-isa daw or dala-dalawa lang yung pwedeng pumasok doon sa detention ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte dyan sa ICC.
Sabi nga ni VP Sara, ang silver lining lang daw na ito. It's just parang one of the first times in a long time since she was a kid na she was able to bond with her dad.
And parang there's forgiveness na daw between the two of them.
Kasi parang nung bata daw siya, parang hindi masyado nakapag-spend ng time na mahaba talking about just family with her dad, si former President Duterte, because he was always busy at work. Di ba, being a mayor, tapos ng congressman. So parang hindi sila nakapag-usap ng malaliman. This time daw, walang politics or walang nothing about the case ang pinag-usapan kasi bawal sa detention. So they were just talking about family, nagkwentuhan. So parang ang ganda daw ng parang in other words, ang ganda ng experience niya just talking about that with her dad.
Yeah.
That's good naman.
Yeah,
na
and I think
nakapag-bond
also
sila.
yung slot niya nung isang araw, binigay niya dun sa dalawa. Dahil since, yung nga sabi ni mention ko kanina, na dala-dalawa lang kasi po pwedeng pumasok doon o dumalaw doon sa detention center ni FPRRD. On the other hand naman, si Senator Robin Padilla hindi na talaga siya nakapasok doon, no, kasi may certain kasi mga reasons kung bakit ka pwedeng payagan. Number one, if your immediate family. Number two, kung ikaw yung legal counsel ng nakadetain. At number three, kung ka yung political ally. Pero parang he was trying to push that reason pero hindi umubra. Kaya hindi siya nakapasok. Kahit 2 weeks siya dyan. And finally, sabi rin ni Vice President Sara Duterte, malapit na daw siyang umuwi dito sa Pilipinas.
May
Sa
hinihintay
konting
lang document.
papeles na lang daw aantayin niya to finish everything para makabalik daw siya dito. And tinignan din natin na as per Mon Gualvez, kasi siya ngayon, from News 5, yung nandiyan ngayon sa The Hague, sinabi nga niya, medyo nagda-die down na daw yung mga protesta na nandoon sa harapan ng The Hague.
Back to work na kasi.
Oo, pero meron pa rin mga tao na nandoon ngayon. Alright.
Alright, in other news, Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief of Staff General Romeo Browner Jr. has directed the Northern Luzon Command to prepare for a potential invasion of Taiwan. Browner urged the command to expand its operations, stressing that if conflict erupts, the Philippines will inevitably be affected. He also emphasized that NOLCOM would lead rescue efforts for 250,000 OFWs in Taiwan if hostilities arise. This comes amid escalating tensions in the Taiwan Strait, with China conducting large-scale military drills around Taiwan.
NOLCOM is our frontliner here in the Northern Hemisphere. And as we saw a while ago, in their shift to territorial defense, they have gone a long way already. But let me give you this challenge, this further challenge. Do not be content with securing just the Northern Hemisphere up to Mavulis Island. Start planning for actions in case there is an invasion of Taiwan. Okay? So extend na natin yung sphere of operations natin.
Ano kaya intelligence info na meron to si General Browner? Kasi for the chief of the army of the Armed Forces of the Philippines to say that they're to prepare for a possible invasion of Taiwan, that means there must be something brewing. Oo.
Well, kasi nung last year sinasabi nila, meron daw mga leaked information na invasion will happen in 2027 para kasabay daw ng anniversary ng People's Liberation Army, no? Sinasabi nila 'yon.
Parang ito lang hinihintay ng China
Centennial Anniversary 2027.
Parang ito lang hinihintay ng China si President Trump maupo
Oo,
Kasi medyo magaang si Trump sa China
Oo, pero sabi naman nila there are actually reasons bakit hindi daw possible na mangyari ito. These are all just talks kasi parang hindi naman din daw kakayanin ng China yung ganitong klaseng na paggalaw, because they will be affected economically. May mga financial sanction, economic sanction na mangyayari sa kanila. And yun nga, sa side naman natin, yung mga sa ASEAN, di ba, they are expected to maintain neutrality. Kaya lang tayo sa Pilipinas, meron tayong mutual defense treaty with with the US and Japan. So, paano yan? So, if they, in effect, di ba, will act on it, we will have to act
Hindi,
also.
pero wala naman actual threat sa US
Wala
So,
naman.
the mutual defense treaty is threat to the US or threat to the Philippines that we help each other. But if
Yeah.
it's a threat to Taiwan, wala naman tayong mutual defense treaty with Taiwan.
Yeah, wala naman.
Wala. So,
Wala.
we are not bound.
We are actually taking action if ever
Oo.
dun sa alliance natin with the US
Oh,
and Japan.
but we are not bound to act unless, 'di ba, na yung actual kunyari may dumating na fleet doon sa Taiwan, tinamaan ng missile, humingi ng tulong ni US, "Oy, can you rescue our guys? Could you reinforce them?" Then that's when we come in if
Yes.
our counterparts sa mutual
that's
defense
my
treaty is
point.
affected. But for the US to compel us to, hey, punta tayo Taiwan, labanan natin Chinese together.
Hindi naman yun. Hindi yun. That would never
that's
happen.
not part of it. That will never happen.
And for us naman din, maapektuhan din tayo dyan economically kasi ang China is our first main source for trading, di ba?
Yes.
Tapos pang-8 ang Taiwan. So yan ang mga magiging effect sa atin itong
And one reason why
mangyayari.
people doubt that China will do this is while China still enjoys to be one of the biggest armies in the world, one of the, but they are not, if you take a look at per unit nila, ng armed forces nila sa Navy, sa Air Force, saka sa military. In volume, madami sila, but their equipment are aging. Number one, luma na. Number two, they're not modern, as modern as the US.
Yes, yun yung sinasabi
It's very
dito
old, it's outdated. Pero ang ginawa kasi ng China, in numbers nila binawi.
Yun. Yun yung sinasabi nila isa pang mga reason bakit daw this is not possible, this is just all talks. Kasi nga daw, China's economy is in bad shape and Beijing is not in financial position to finance a war. Tapos yung sinasabi mo, China's military is not strong enough to face America's barrier of deterrence.
Tsaka yung sinasabi nila kasi 'di ba pag usually nagkakaroon ng parade of yung sa armed forces ng China, 'di ba minsan all countries usually they hold parades to showcase yung kung ano yung meron silang weapon. Kung titignan mo daw isa-isa yung sundalo na nagpa-parade, hindi daw lahat may laman na bala yung baril. 'Di ba? It's all a show of force daw lahat. So, 'yan ang according to some intelligence analysts.
Yeah. Siyempre, at the end of the day, sana hindi mangyari, di ba? Yung mga
hindi.
invasion.
But a lot of people, you're right, also with sinabi, and I've heard that argument before, that China is needs to be friendly with everyone because economically,
Pero really,
they're fighting to improve their economy. And last on their
By
mind,
doing this, magkaroon ng sanctions sila.
And they-
Lalo tsaka ma-isolate
yeah,
sila.
and they understand na yung isolation na sinasabi mo is ayaw nila maging parang North Korea, na maging isolated state. That's the last thing they want to do.
All right, let's go to the other news. A petition before the Supreme Court urges Congress to pass a law banning political dynasties. The One Sambayan Coalition, led by retired Justice Antonio Carpio, filed the petition for certiorari and mandamos along with other advocates. They want the court to order Congress to enact a law within 1 year in line with Article 2, Section 26 of the Constitution. The petitioners argue that Congress has ignored its constitutional duty by failing to pass an anti-dynasty law for nearly 4 years.
You know, they say that the Congress is the purse, the executive is the sword, and the Supreme Court is the conscience of the nation. So, sasabihin, it's time for the Supreme Court to come forward with something that it's a mandatory, it's a mandate of Congress, which they have not done for 38 years.
Pero sinasabi nila medyo may gray area dyan eh. Kasi 'di ba supposedly ang Congress, Supreme Court, may separation of powers eh. Bakit daw makikialam ngayon ng Supreme Court to compel Congress to pass a law? Pero on the other hand, naku, talagang napakatagal na nito. Nasa constitution natin na bawal lang kung ano ang political dynasty pero kailangan ng enabling law.
Kailangan, or maghanap sila ng pwede nilang ikaso towards some of the people in Congress, not Congress as a whole. Kasuhan nila para magkaroon ng interpretation ng Supreme Court. With that, magkakaroon ng president. Magkakaroon ng presidents. You have to remember kasi although it is in the Constitution, bawal ang political dynasty, walang definition of terms.
Wala.
So, how can you enact a law without the definition? Pero ang sabi nila, it is understood kasi that the spirit of, in the absence of definition, the spirit of the Constitution is the one that will be over everything else, 'di ba? For example, meron kayong yung SK law. Sabi nila, it makes sense. Wala nga yung political dynasty definition and specific terms sa loob ng batas, pero meron tayong sa SK.
It says there.
So, if meron sa SK, malamang, 'di ba, ang intention ng Constitution is ipareho 'yan.
Yes.
'Di ba? So why don't we follow yung model ng SK up to what sanguinity, pinsan, second cousin, third cousin, 'di ba?
Pero tama ka dun sa sinabi mo, I agree with you eh. Yung mag-file na lang sila ng case sa certain whoever, 'di ba, para magkaroon ng president. Kasi itong ganitong kumbaga strategy na ginawa ng sambayan, nangyari na pala ito eh, long time ago. At yun yung parang president kasi sinabi ng Supreme Court, nag-rule sila na we cannot, compel Congress to do that because of
Yes.
separation of power.
Well,
But we'll see this time around, this batch of judges sa Supreme Court, we'll see kung
If I
bago
was
yung
Congress,
decision nila.
why will I pass the definition of political dynasty?
Eh, di ba? Ang dami
I'm
na
saying
doon.
if I was Congress, why would I pass
Oo.
it? 'Di ba? Kasi madami akong kamag-anak sa Kongreso eh.
Madami nakabinbin sa Congress, tapos o kaya sa Senate, na may mga nagda-draft ng law pero hindi napapasa.
Why will
nare-reject.
I commit political harakiri on my, 'di ba?
Diba?
Magpo-political harakiri ka passing a law
Thin dynasty,
that will
fat dynasty,
that
di ba?
will
yung
in
mga
essence remove you and your kapatid, ate, tita, 'di ba? Lolo-lola from power.
Merong
eh.
isang may isang vlogger sinasabi niya. Kumakandidato rin yan ng pagka-senador. Sinasabi niya, pabor daw siya sa political dynasty kasi parang parang kunyari pag singer, 'di ba? May anak, magaling din kumanta. Pero this is a country 'di ba? This is a leadership na pinag-uusapan natin. So sabi niya, hindi kasi parang namamana na din naman daw. Namamana ba yung leadership?
Before we go, how could you liken singing to governance? Governance is
Exactly.
taking control of a geographical location, therefore pushing laws that are and governing.
Exactly.
And di ba?
My
And
point.
yung people, the population nakasalalay sa decision mo. Ang singing is open for everyone.
Tsaka
So,
sabay-sabay,
hindi po-
ganun na
Hindi po magandang comparison ng singing sa
Mayor,
governance.
governor, lahat kayo, nandiyan kayo, di ba? Paano naman yung iba? Yun yung natin eh. Tsaka talagang nagbe-breed ng corruption eh. Pag lahat ng pamilya nandoon
Para
sa...
mong sinabi, daddy ko, newscaster, bawal na ako. Dahil, yung political dynasty. Ang argument yung singing. Kulang na lang Sige.
Diba? Tsaka di naman not necessarily na kapag ka magaling na leader ang isa, tas yung anak niya, hindi naman automatic magaling na din yung anak niya na maging leader, diba? Anyway, we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. A Filipina recounted her experience in a scam farm in Myanmar. Authorities are now working to track down Filipino recruiters involved in similar operations abroad.
Hindi ko alam kung makaka-uwi pa ba ako.
Anna burst into tears as she recalled her harrowing experience in a scam farm in Myanmar a year ago, May 2024, when Anna started her work. But after only 1 week, she wanted to leave the love and cryptocurrency scam operation. This made her Taiwanese boss angry, and she was immediately taken to the torture room.
Pinagtatry po na akong waluin, yung pliers ko, yung sa kamay ko, tapos lahat na po sa mga kamay ko, lahat sa ulo ko, tapos sa mga tenga ko, lahat pinaghahampas na ako, may mga dito mga batuta po.
When her employer discovered that Anna had sought help from authorities, it was not only physical pain she experienced.
Sabi nila sa akin na papagahasa daw nila ako, i-video nila kasi ganun-ganun daw. Tapos, luckily po hindi po natuloy kasi nga din po nung pag-alis nila ng mga damit ko dinudugo po ako kaya.
Since the rape attempt failed, Anna was stripped and forced to hold a placard claiming she was the operator of a pogo in Purac, Pampanga. Within a week, the only thing Anna could rely on to survive was water from the toilet.
Natatakot po ko baka may drugs po yung pagkain ko, yung iniinom ko, kaya ininda ko po yung ilang araw na hindi ako makakain. Hindi ko kung makakapag-CR lang ako doon, ako makakainom ng tubig. Kasi alam ko safe.
After 3 weeks of suffering, Anna was located by the Philippine Police Attaché in Thailand. Upon returning to the country, she was rushed to the hospital, her hands swollen and covered in bruises. She was also diagnosed with double pneumonia. And just this February, Anna's Taiwanese boss and 3 Filipinas were arrested in Bangkok.
Nung checkpoint sila dito sa highway sa Thailand is mayroon pang nakitang granada. So yun, nang isa sa medyo nagpabigat sa case.
But authorities continue to face a challenge. Scam bosses and operators are using plastic surgery to evade capture. Anna's Taiwanese boss was identified only by the name on his passport. He had undergone nose and chin surgery. The DFA continues to gather information to identify Filipino recruiters luring victims into scam farms in Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia.
Let's get more details from BI Deputy Spokesperson Melvin Mabulak. Spokes, thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Audio nyo, Spokes. Nakamute ata po kayo.
Yes.
Yun.
Good morning.
Good
Sorry.
morning. And it's
Folks,
okay.
thank you for joining us. Ano po na po ang update natin is about sa paghahanap ng mga recruiters, no? Yung mga nagpapadala sa mga Pilipino sa so-called scam farms.
Opo, mayroon po tayong coordination sa Interagency Council kasi nakikita din po natin doon sa pag-aaral investigasyon na karamihan po sa kanila talaga ay umalis sa iba't ibang pamamaraan. Yung iba umalis sa ating paliparan, pero yung iba po dito ay umalis doon sa Zamboanga, doon sa backdoor natin. Around 54 po yung umalis doon. At kung makikita natin, just recently, nahuli po ng ating mga law enforcement agencies, ng NBI, ng PNP, ang isang babae na isa sa tinuturo na siya ay nagpa-facilitate ng backdoor. At tuloy-tuloy po tayo sa pakikipag-ugnayan as well kasi nakakabahala din itong mga nabiktimang ito ay klinaklassify natin, nakakaiba yung kanilang modus sa pag-alis considering na nag-iba na yung trend ng mga Filipino na nabibiktima ng scam dito sa Myanmar. Tuloy-tuloy po ang ginagawa ng ating opisina para sa investigasyong ito.
Spokes, doon po sa kasama doon sa mga nahuli, yung sinabi niyo yung isang Pilipina na nagfa-facilitate ng backdoor exit. Meron pa daw pong isang nahuli doon na siya naman yung tawag dito, nung una na rescue siya, yung pala eventually nalaman na isa rin siya sa mga illegal recruiters. Nasaan na po siya ngayon? Tapos meron pa rin po ba tayo dun sa mga possible na maiimbestigahan na baka mamaya nagpapanggap lang din silang biktima, yung pala isa rin sila sa mga recruiters?
Opo, tama po kayo. If you can recall yung second day ng repatriation ng mas marami-rami, isa doon ang nagpanggap na biktima. Pero siya ay sinumbong doon ng mga naripat din na siya talaga yung nag-facilitate, nag-recruit para sila ay magpunta sa Myanmar. Prinamis sila ng magandang trabaho. Eventually, they end up on a scam farm na kung saan sila ay subjected talaga sa human exploitation, sa human trafficking. At tuloy-tuloy tinitingnan po natin. Alam po natin itong klaseng recruitment, ito basta-basta, may pera talaga ito, sindikato ito. Dahil papunta sa abroad to, no? May perang, malaking perang involved dito, kaya nakikita natin we should not end up on the one na nakita natin na kasama doon sa nag-recruit na na-repatriate. Tuloy-tuloy po ito.
Given Spokes na, sindikato nga ito and most likely, meron din silang physical location dito, yung grupo na yan. Do we have an idea or are we at least monitoring them? Gaano kalaki itong grupo? Matagal na ba sila nag-ooperate? Sino-sino sila?
Opo, ang nakita po natin talaga yung kanilang recruitment through social media. At alam naman po natin sa social media, ang dali nilang gumawa ng bago, mahirap matrack. Kaya nandoon talaga dito nandito yung ating NBI, yung cybercrime, yung PNP para matrack po natin. But at the same time din po, even sa recruitment sa labas ng bansa, around 7% na naripat natin dito ay mga OFW. Ibig sabihin po niyan, na-recruit sila doon sa bansa na kung saan sila nagtatrabaho at napunta rito. Malawak po ito at pinapaubaya po natin sa PNP at sa NBI dahil sila po ay may capability para makapag-investigate, particularly sa cyber investigation.
Spokes, meron din po bang mga insidente na we all know naman po na yung ibang mga store, karamihan po dun sa storya po dito, dito sila nare-recruit, sasabihin po sila ng trabaho dun sa ibang bansa, pagdating dun, iba na, scam farm pala. Meron po bang insidente sa ibang bansa naman na nagtatrabaho na po, no, yung mga kababayan natin doon, tapos nare-recruit pa rin sa mga scam farm?
Yes po, kasi may entice ka po talaga, no? Dahil sa laki ng pinapromise na sweldo, ikaw naman po, mayroon kang nagtatrabaho ka sa labas ng bansa, may another offer na napakalaki, kaya susunggaban mo. Unfortunately, ito pala ay isang
Scam farm pala.
Ito pala ay scam farm pala. Kaya napakahirap po. Kaya nga ang kampanyang ito ay magiging makabuluhan lamang kung mayroon talagang full government approach, hindi lang sa immigration, pero lahat po ng mga ahensya ng gobyerno. Kung titingnan po ninyo, ang immigration tinatawag po nating last touch kasi siya na po yung pinaka-last na magbe-verify kung ang isang taong to ay aalis ng bansa. But we have to understand, the recruitment starts in the community. They secure other documents na iprepresenta. Dapat ang ating campaign ay hindi lang magsisimula doon sa immigration. We have to go to the root of the problem na doon sa community ang recruitment, nakakapag-secure sila ng mga iba't ibang dokumento na iprepresenta at nakikita natin ito ang gustong puntahan ng ating Interagency Council.
Spokes, it seems that napakadali po talaga na umalis ngayon sa atin through illegal backdoor channel. No? We have heard and seen through investigation si Attorney Harry Roque, dumaan daw doon. Si Alice Go, dumaan din daw doon, and other known personalities na may mga kaso dito. Ano po ginagawa ng Bureau of Immigration regarding that? Kasi palala po ng palala yung mga kaso natin na doon po talaga nagsisimula pag alis nila sa illegal backdoor exit natin.
Opo, nagpahayag din po yung ating butihing commissioner na talaga magkaroon ng bantas na magpe-penalize talaga yung gumagamit ng backdoor. But at the same time din po, sa lawak po ng ating border, particularly doon sa backdoor, no, sa Mindanao, very near po yan sa Sabah.
Yeah.
Ang coordination po yan with Philippine Coast Guard, with Philippine Navy, with our forces of the Philippines. Mayroon po tayong, pag may nahuhuli po sila po ay nakikipag-coordinate kaagad sa Bureau of Immigration at bine-verify po natin. At marami po tayong cases na ganyan na nakakabahala at na isang malaking challenge po ito kasi itong backdoor, this is a traditional route. Even before nagkaroon tayo ng mga borders na ito,
That's right.
ito na dinadaanan. Yes po.
No, go ahead, Spokes. Go ahead.
Yes, ito po talaga yung dinadaanan ng marami unfortunately, ito ay ginamit na din ng mga tao na pinaghahanap minsan ng ating batas, mga tao na nahihirapan sila makaalis sa ating mga paliparan. What they do, they evade immigration inspection and they go to the back door na napakalawak na kailangan natin ng tulong, hindi lang ng immigration, with Coast Guard, with Philippine Navy, but it includes as well yung local government unit kasi they can go out of the country even sa mga private ports lang, kahit sa beach, basta mayroon lang dagat, they can go there. That's why napakahalaga yung coordination ng iba't ibang ahensya ng ating bansa.
Tsaka apparently wala po palang batas no, na nagbabawal dito.
Mayroon tayo in terms sa Philippine immigration which is very kung titingnan 1941 yung batas natin, ang batas ng immigration na sinusunod 1941 at ang nakapirma pa dito ay ang dayuhang presidente ng Amerika.
Kaya
Hindi
nga
dito. Kaya we've been asking the Congress to help us out para ma-modernize natin at makatugon tayo sa panibagong challenges, no? In terms sa border control.
That's right.
Because border control, ang border integrity, hindi lang to sa personnel, but it is as well, ano yung system natin, ano yung recent legislation natin. Dapat yung approach ay hindi lang sa isang anggulo lang.
Opo.
Yeah. Spokes, I'd like to ask na all of this kasi lahat ng usapin na to begins from recruitment. Effectivity ng recruitment ng sindikato. Ang question ko dito is, sa mga nakakausap niyong mga biktima na nare-repatriate na, marami ba sa kanila from the start, alam ba nila na illegal tong gagawin nila? Or mga iba nagugulat na lang na illegal pala?
Sa karamihan sa kanila naman, they don't want to be subjected naman sa exploitation, no? Pero alam nila na ang purpose ng travel nila is to work. At alam din nila if they're going to work abroad, they have to undergo process with the Department of Migrant Workers, yung POA natin. Kasi requirement po yun na dapat if you're working abroad, mayroon kang work visa, dapat work visa ang hawak mo, at dapat mayroon kang overseas employment certificate. Bakit napaka-importante yon? Kasi kung mayroon kang OEC, mayroon kang local employment agency who will be held accountable once hindi nasunod yung kontrata mo.
That's right.
Hindi ka pinasweldo, hindi nasunod yung kondisyon na dapat may rest day ka. Ang manadagot yung local employment agency. Ayan ang ina-avoid, no, ng mga kababayan natin. Alam naman nila magtatrabaho sila pero hindi nagpapanggap silang turista. Lalabas sila, hindi dadaan sa POA. At they just rely kung anong sinabi doon sa social media. Unfortunately, sa ganitong nangyayari, marami sa kanila ay nasasubject doon sa human trafficking, human exploitation.
Alright, sige po, patuloy po kami makikipag-ugnayan sa inyo for other updates regarding this issue. For the meantime, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, BI Deputy Spokesperson Melvin Mabula.
Maraming salamat po, mabuhay po kayo.
Okay, so kanina we were talking about also yung possible invasion ng China sa Taiwan and what will happen to the Philippines if that happens. We will talk more about this matter because we have AFP spokesperson Colonel Margaret Padilla joining us today via Zoom, via line, no? On the line, okay. Hi ma'am, good morning. Hi, Colonel.
Hello, sir. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Magandang umaga po sa inyong mga taga-subaybay.
Alright, so yun nga po no, regarding this issue, ano-ano po yung mga preparations na dapat pong gawin ng NOLCOM kaugnay nga po nitong Taiwan-China conflict?
Ma'am, foremost po, I would just like to set context po dito sa statement
Yes.
na to. Ang una po sa lahat, we do not want to cause unnecessary panic po para sa ating mga kababayan. Bagkus po, ito po ay assurance na ang inyong sandatang lakas ng Pilipinas ay naghahanda po para sa anumang eventuality mula sa pagdepensa po ng ating bayan hanggang sa pagresponde po sa anumang sakuna. So itong statement na ito, nabanggit po ito ni Chief of Staff during his speech po sa NOLCOM. Anniversary po kasi ng Northern Luzon Command. So ito pong NOLCOM, since they are the guardians of our northern frontier, kaya po ito po yung mga possible po na paghahandaan nitong ating Northern Luzon Command. So alam naman po natin na marami po tayong OFW sa Taiwan. There are around 250,000 na OFWs doon. So in any eventuality po, we really have to prepare both in defense capabilities, pwede rin po siya for repatriation pagkasakaling kailangan, and pwede rin po siya for humanitarian assistance and disaster response po.
So I believe it's nga po it's just a possibility, pero ano po yung assessment po ninyo yung regarding this potential Taiwan versus China conflict po?
This is not a novel issue, ma'am,
Yeah.
This has been going on for quite some time na po. So rest assured po na lagi pong nakaantabay ang ating Armed Forces of the Philippines sa anuman pong kaganapan dyan sa ating region, So ito po, part talaga to, bahagi ng mandato po na protektahan namin ang ating bayan, ang ating soberenya at ang ating mamamayan. So patuloy po yan, nagsasagawa po kami ng masusing contingency planning para po maging handa po tayo for any eventualities. Also, ongoing po kasi ma'am yung ating balikatan exercises. So ito po, April to May po yan. And majority po ng paggaganapan nitong balikatan exercises natin will also be under the joint operating area of Northern Luzon Command po.
Given pa sinasabi niyo, preparing for any eventualities, may mga coordination na po ba nangyayari with other agencies dito sa ating gobyerno like the DFA, migrant workers, pati sa counterpart natin po sa Taiwan, just in case po?
Lahat naman yan, sir, this is pagka may ganyan pong pangyayari, it will not be just solely the armed forces of the Philippines po. It is a joint effort between the different agencies po. It's gonna approach. So meron po tayong direct line sa ating DFA, sa ating Bureau of Immigration, sa ating Philippine National Police and other agencies po that is gonna be involved in this po. And we will be under po the umbrella of DND and OCD po in case of HADR naman po.
Colonel, para sa konteksto lang, bakit po naging medyong controversial itong exercise ng China? Di ba, I understand it annually, they hold similar exercises naman, but was it the location or how large the drills were?
Colonel, are you still there?
Yung line ata ni Colonel.
Wala.
With that, sir,
Ayun.
for the other side po, we cannot speculate. Yes po.
Yes, nawala
Go ahead
kayo, Colonel, kanina. Ayun, okay na po.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Hello,
okay na.
ma'am.
I can hear you na, Colonel. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sa ganito pong pagkakataon, sir, yes, sir. Hindi po natin loss po. Pero po, tinitiyak naman po natin na ang Armed Forces of the Philippines po natin nakatutok po sa seguridad at kapakanan po ng Pilipino. Dito po sa ating teritoryo o sa ibang bansa man, ang prioridad po natin yung kahandaan, pakikipag-ugnayan at yun, pati po sa ating alliances, nakita po natin very strong po yung pag-build natin ng alliances with like-minded nations and well-meaning nations. In fact, ito pong balikatan exercises is one of the biggest again with more countries signifying to have active participation po. Traditionally po, this is between the US and the Philippines.
Mhm, yes.
But last year po, we had the active participation of the French Navy and Australia po. This year, we have more countries joining in, also as observers po.
Itong exercises this year, Colonel, ano yung focus natin, primary focus natin sa exercises?
Ito, sir, will be a fusion of kinetic and non-kinetic
Okay.
exercises,
Mhm.
sir. So, ang tinitingnan natin dyan, over and above dun sa kinetic natin, tinitingnan natin yung bagong mga equipment po natin, how they will fall into play and how they will interoperate with assets of our allied nations po.
Mhm.
We also have our non-kinetic. So tinitingnan po natin even cyber exercises and information exercises po. Kasama po yan, sir.
You mentioned, Colonel, new equipment. Kasama dito ba yung mga new missile systems na i-deploy dito?
Depending dun sa exercise na gaganapin, sir, kung ano po yung layon ng exercise, meron po tayong mga naka-dedicate na assets
Mhm.
specifically for exercises po.
Okay.
Siguro naman, just to clarify po, no, how does the AFP plan to engage with allies? Since you mentioned na rin po kanina yung allies, kung meron nga pong possibility na mag-escalate yung tension po doon sa Taiwan.
Ito naman po, meron po tayong mga pinipirmahan po, no, na mga agreements with them. So we have, depende po sa nation yan, no, may bilateral po tayo, may multilateral po tayo. So nakikita po natin dyan, we have the visiting forces agreement
Yes.
with the US, no. Meron po tayong RAA na pinirmahan with Japan, no, and we also are looking into the signing of the VFA between New Zealand, Canada, and ito pong sir.
Go ahead, Colonel.
Napapaloob dyan, sir, yun po yung isa sa katuparan po natin, sir.
Okay.
Okay. And just to clear din po, no, sinabi po kasi ni General Bronner nga dun sa kanyang statement, part of his soldier's job would be to rescue 250,000 Filipinos working in Taiwan. Pero wala po siyang dinetail kung papaano po gagawin yun. If ever po ulit, no, dun po sa ating, yung eventuality po na pinag-uusapan natin.
Yes, ma'am, no? So tinitingnan po natin yan. Part yan po ng contingency measures natin. So what assets will we use for that? Ano po yung mga diplomatic po na clearances that we need? So kaya nga po, kailangan po, tulong-tulong po ito with other agencies as well. Dito po kasi, isang player po yung AFP, no? We have our C-130 aircrafts, dyan din po yung mga C-295 aircrafts natin. And also, hindi lang yun, ma'am, no, pagdating dito sa Pilipinas, how do we go about it? So we can be utilizing EDCA sites po, which are multi-role facilities, which can serve also as evacuation centers. They also are being used for fisherman shelters po.
Right.
Pwede rin po siya, ma'am, na staging point po for repacking of goods kapag ka po HADR operations. So tinitingnan natin lahat yan, ma'am. All of these are part of contingency plans that are at play po.
Alright, hopefully hindi na tayo umabot sa ganung sitwasyon. But maraming salamat po sa inyong oras sa AFP spokesperson Colonel Margaret Padilla.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
All right, in other news, 8 groups in Myanmar warns that the window to find earthquake survivors is fast closing. Here's the report.
Rescue workers kept on searching for survivors of last week's Myanmar earthquake, 4 days on from a disaster which has killed more than 2,700 people. Myanmar's military ruler said the death toll is expected to surpass 3,000. Aid groups, meanwhile, warned the window to find survivors was fast closing. One rescuer said they could smell decaying bodies under the rubble. The United Nations Refugee Agency, UNHCR, was shipping in aid supplies to 25,000 earthquake survivors in Myanmar. Shelter, clean water, and medicine are in short supply following Friday's earthquake. An official of the United Nations World Food Program called for more international funding to support the organization's urgent need to scale up its operation.
It's difficult. As I mentioned, we were in the process of downsizing our operation because of a lack of funding. Now, very quickly, we need to upscale. So we can only do that with funding. And ideally, we get funding for our previous operations and this additional requirement. Without that, we will struggle.
The Philippine government, for its part, has deployed a humanitarian contingent to Myanmar. The contingent consists of urban search and rescue teams from the military, as well as various public and private agencies.
Don't go away, we're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority has issued a show cause order to Gabriel Go, head of its Special Operations Group Strike Force, following his actions during a clearing operation on March 25. Now, the controversy stemmed from a viral video showing Go allegedly berating a Quezon City police officer for illegal parking. The MMDA has already reached out to the Philippine National Police and other agencies to ensure coordination and prevent further tensions. Meanwhile, the National Police Commission expressed disappointment over Go's lack of action on the matter.
Sabi ko, you can come here. I don't think you're welcome in QCPD dahil lahat sila galit sa'yo. The NAPOLCOM is open to you. You can apologize to them personally. Symbolic yung apology mo, sabi ko. We waited. Saturday night lapsed. Sunday passed. Monday passed. No apologies.
NAPOLCOM Commissioner Attorney Rafael Calinisan clarified that while they have no issues with the MMDA, they will offer assistance to the police officer should he decide to file the appropriate charges.
We are also assisting him and will accompany him when he files that complaint. I don't think Captain Felipe will change his mind.
Aside from sporting events, a student athlete has won the heart of many netizens. This as he decided to use his prize money to buy a cow for his father who is a farmer. Para bigyan ng mukha ang balita, Mobile Journal, Denise Valdesancho.
Nakatanggap ang isang student athlete mula ABRA ng cash incentives para sa napanalunan niyang 2 silver at 1 bronze medal. Pero ang pinaggastusan niya, hindi kung ano-anong material na bagay, kundi baka.
Tunay na kahanga-hanga ang 12-year-old student athlete na si Desiree mula sa ABRA. Sa 1 taon pa lang niyang pagsabak sa swimming, nakapag-uwi na agad siya ng 2 silver at 1 bronze medal sa Cordillera Administrative Region Athletic Association o CARAAMIT sa Benguet noong Pebrero. Ang medalyang yan, may kapalit palang cash, kaya si Desiree hindi nagdalawang isip. Ang pera, ginamit niya para sa pamilya na pagsasaka ang kabuhayan.
Naisipan ko pong bumili ng baka para makatulong po ako sa papa at mama ko sa mga pangangailangan namin.
Isa rin kasing OFW ang kanyang nanay na nagtatrabahong helper sa Saudi Arabia. Kaya si Desiree, kinakitaan talaga ng pagsisikap. Wala mang dagat sa kanilang lugar, praktisado naman siyang lumangoy sa ilog.
Actually, ma'am, pinili lang talaga siya ng school nila. Kasi first time niya talaga sumali sa swimming. Marunong talaga siyang lumangoy, ma'am, kasi malapit kami sa ilog. Palagi kami sa bukid, palagi kami sa ilog, ganun.
Kahit ang trainer ng atleta, bilib din kay Desiree.
Sa tagal ko na nagtuturo ng swimming, madali niyang natutunan yung mga stroke. Kaya sabi ko, potential siya.
Pero aminado ang batang atleta, naiisip din niya minsang itigil na ang paglalangoy dahil sa hirap ng training at competitions kasabay pa ng pag-aaral. Kaya malaking pasalamat daw nito na hindi siya sumuko, lalo't ang kanyang pagtsatsaga na gagantimpalaan naman.
Masayang-masaya, ma'am. Kasi sabi niya, buti nga tinuloy ko.
Kaya ngayong tutungtong na ng high school si Desiree, tuloy-tuloy lang daw siya sa pagiging atleta.
Siyempre, pangarap namin maabot niya yung pangarap niya. Basta porsigido po siyang ituloy yung talent niya. Handa kaming sumuporta sa kanya. Sabi niya nga, kahit di ka matalino, kung may talent ka, malayo ang mararating mo.
Para sa ilan, hindi sukat ang dami o kinang ng mga medalya para sa tunay na yaman sa buhay. May mga ilang gaya ni Desiree na mas inuuna ang pamilya dahil yan ang tunay na yamang hindi mapapantayan. Mobile Journal, Denise Valdesancho po, hatid ang mukha ng balita.
Now in sports, the Petrogas Angels closed in on a finals berth in the 2024-25 PVL All-Filipino Conference semifinals. This comes after they defeated the Choco Mucho Flying Titans in 4 sets at the PhilSports Arena in Pasig on Tuesday. Brooke Van Sickle delivered a new for Petrogas, leading the charge with a triple-double of 17 points, 12 excellent digs, and 22 excellent receptions. Now 2-0, Petrogas will look to make its PVL Finals berth official against the Akari Chargers at the Smart Araneta Coliseum on Thursday. Cute nung
Ayun,
cow business.
Cow business ang cute
Nadurog
yun.
yung puso ko.
Oh, pero naano ko lang yung sa yung over yung Gabriel Go, yung issue.
Yung sa MMDA.
I mean, si Gabriel Go is known to be very harsh and strict on the matter, but kasi kailangan naman talaga ng discipline on the road, 'di ba? Ang madami siyang nakakaaway na nag-name drop na he stands firm. So hindi ko alam bakit kung may
Kampihan tong police
but
na
may
to.
police officer who granted hindi deserving na mag-berate, pero kung gano'n naman siya sa iba, what makes a police officer more special than a regular citizen? Mas lalo na if he was breaking the law by illegally parking.
Illegally parking.
So what makes him special, 'di ba, na naka-uniforme ka, all the more dapat sumunod ka sa batas. 'Di ba? Kasi lahat naman tayo nakikipagsapalaran by working out there. So no one is exempted from following rules.
Yes.
Diba? So, nawala rin si si
Edison Nebrija?
Bernard
Sino ba?
Nebrija, di ba? Yung kay
Senator Bongo.
because he
Hindi
was
Bong Revilla.
because nagkamali lang siya, but he is also known to be strict. Itong mga strict at functioning people na nagkakamali hinahabol nyo, pero itong mga ibang
Breaking the law.
politiko dyan, major breaking the law, dahil na daan lang sa mga akwital, okay na sila. Diba? So, let's all be fair. Everyone's trying to work hard.
Yeah.
Right? And before we let you go, I'd like to leave everyone with a quote. When you see corruption being rewarded and honesty becoming a self-sacrifice, you may know that society is doomed. A quote from Ayn Rand. And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
Lamang Hilo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.